small, that it doesn't have to start big. In fact, for most, it doesn't start big. And that's okay, because you do need to start, but then the key piece is you've got to keep going. And all I want you to do tonight is to really plant another seed, or the initial seed of belief, and then really resolve to act on it, because those two pieces are absolutely key to the beginning of all great things. And then it can continue to grow from there. So Danny, you've seen this metaphor, you know this metaphor. You plant the acorn, right? And then you nourish it over time. And over time and more time, it grows into this beautiful, mighty oak tree. Now, you get it. Everybody's seen that. It's amazing what can happen and evolve from small things. But too often we focus on what or something or someone has become, and not on the becoming and how that happens. So it becomes much more meaningful when you move from plants to real people who probably didn't have a great vision for themselves, or even have the most self-confidence and belief, maybe just a little bit like you and you. But on the other hand, some people also had just enough to act on, and so they did. And then they did a little bit more, and a little bit more, and then the confidence begins to grow. And then over time, others take notice. I want to share a couple of examples with you that you might recognize. Rosa Parks. She became an overnight figurehead for the civil rights movement in 1955 when she refused to give up her seat to a white passenger on a Montgomery City bus. Now, that moment has become legendary. But at the time, in her own humble words, she said, "All I was doing was trying to get home safely from work." The small act of a perhaps not so confident, courageous reply of, "No, I'm not," when told to get off the bus, eventually moved a country. In her words, she said, "I'd like to be remembered as a person who just wanted to be free, so other people would also be free." But it started with just wanting to get home safely. And guess what, Danny? It didn't seem like she was making history at the time, but it was the start. Another example. What about Malala Yousafzai, the 14-year-old Pakistani girl who just wanted to have an education, which was contrary to the cultural norms? As a young girl, in the process of acting on just a seed of self-belief, she lost her fear, and bravery triumphed as she raised her voice about something she wanted for herself and for other young girls. And others did take notice. In fact, so much so that on October 9th, 2012, a gunman boarded her school bus in Pakistan, asked her name, and then shot her 3 times. She survived. She was 14 years old. Her crime? Being a voice for girls' education. But 3 years later, as a 17-year-old, she was the co-recipient of a Nobel Peace Prize because of the movement she had created with just an initial small act. And in her words, "I don't want to be remembered as the girl who was shot. I want to be remembered as the girl who stood up."